You know that feeling when you turn on the news or you're scrolling through a history book or honestly just listening to your friends gossip and you get this overwhelming sense of déjà vu.
Oh, yeah.
Not the I've been in this room before kind, but something a bit heavier. A global déjà vu.
Yeah.
Like, wait, humanity has done this exact same thing, made these exact same mistakes a million times before.
Yeah, it's a very specific kind of existential fatigue. You sort of realize the script hasn't changed at all, just the actors.
Exactly. And that is actually where we are starting today. Because the document we're diving into claims that this isn't just a feeling, it's a fundamental law of the universe.
Right.
There's a line in the text that stops you cold. It says, there's nothing that is new. Ancient stories, medieval dramas, modern politics, it's all the same stuff. The towns are full of it, the houses are full of it.
It's quite a bold way to frame life. And it really sets the stage perfectly for what we're bringing you a deep dive on today, which is Book 7 of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
We've touched on Marcus Aurelius before, but Book 7 feels different to me.
How so?
I mean, it feels less like a lecture and more like a guy just trying to keep his head above water.
That's a really great observation. It's crucial for us to remember what Meditations actually is. I mean,
Yeah.
we treat it like this polished philosophy textbook, but it wasn't written for us.
Right.
It wasn't written for publication at all. These were his private journals. He calls them his dogmata, his principles.
Dogmata. That sounds intense.
It is intense.
It's
In section 2, he actually asks himself a terrifying question. He says, "What fear is there that thy dogmata should become dead in thee?"
wow.
He's genuinely scared that his principles will fade away. You have to remember, he's the emperor of Rome, surrounded by sycophants and wars and plagues, and he's terrified that the world is going to scrub away his philosophy.
So he's writing it down to keep it fresh.
Precisely, to keep these ideas fresh and alive. So you're right, it isn't a textbook, it's a survival guide.
It's a fortress.
Exactly, a fortress he's building for his own mind.
Well, let's talk about that fortress.
Yeah.
Because the first major theme in Book 7 is this concept of the inner citadel. Marcus seems obsessed with drawing a line in the sand between his mind and, well, everything else.
He is. He draws a really hard distinction between the external world and what he calls the ruling power of the mind.
The ruling power.
Right. In sections 13th and 16th, he essentially says that external things insults bad luck, even physical pain. They cannot touch the mind unless the mind literally opens the door and lets them in.
Okay, but to play devil's advocate, isn't that a little, I don't know, repressive? Like, just don't let it in. It sounds a lot like bottling up your emotions until you inevitably explode.
It definitely sounds like that to modern ears. But Marcus isn't talking about suppression. He's talking about assent.
Assent.
Yeah. He uses this brilliant image in section 14th regarding opinion or fancy. He treats a negative thought like an intruder or an annoying salesperson at the door.
Like, get thee gone.
Right. He says, "Get thee gone, I need thee not." But notice the tone there. He isn't screaming at the thought. He says, "Thou camest according to thy ancient wonted manner."
Which basically translates to, oh, it's you again, my old friend, anxiety. I see you've arrived.
Exactly. So he acknowledges it, but he refuses to buy what it's selling.
He says to wipe off opinion in section X6, Leah, right?
Yes. The event itself, let's say someone insulting you, is just sound waves hitting your ear. That's the objective fact.
Just physics.
Just physics. The opinion is the voice in your head screaming, "This is a tragedy, my reputation is ruined." Marcus is saying, keep the fact, wipe off the opinion.
That is, I must still be an emerald.
Yeah.
I love that so much. But let's look at reality for a second. We live in an economy of praise. If you're an emerald in a jewelry store and everyone looking at you says you're fake glass, you lose your value. You lose your job. How does this actually work in the real world?
That's the real friction point, isn't it? Because we define value by external validation. But Marcus is arguing for intrinsic value. Think about it. If you praise an emerald, does it physically become greener?
No.
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 If you insult it, does it lose its luster? No. He's telling himself that his integrity, his color, is a physical property of his soul. It doesn't fluctuate based on the Yelp reviews of the Roman Senate.
That is a very tough mindset to hold on to, though.
Yeah.
Especially when things get physically painful. He has a section on pain that I found, well, almost cold.
You mean the Epicurean dilemma?
Yeah, section XXV, where he basically says, if it's unbearable, it carries us off. If it's bearable, we can bear it.
It is a bit grim, I'll give you that. If it kills you, you won't feel it anymore. If it doesn't kill you, stop whining. But there is a real utility to it. He's trying to interdict sympathy with the body.
Interdict sympathy.
Right. He's saying, okay, the nerves in my leg are firing. That is a biological signal. but I, the mind, do not have to spiral into despair about it.
So it's the difference between my leg hurts and my life is a nightmare because my leg hurt.
Exactly. One is a sensation, the other is a narrative.
Okay, so we have the Stoic warrior keeping his emerald color, ignoring the pain. Sounds very solitary. We have the stereotype of the Stoic as the lone wolf who doesn't need anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But then I read Section V, the soldier metaphor, and it completely flipped that for me.
I'm so glad you caught that. It's one of the most important mythbusters in all of Stoicism. Marcus actually asks, are you ashamed to need help? And he uses the image of a soldier scaling a wall.
Right.
Imagine you're storming a castle, but you have a limp. You physically cannot get over the battlements alone.
And the lone wolf would just die at the bottom of the wall out of pride.
Right. But Marcus says, get a boost. Ask another soldier to lift you up. Because the goal isn't, I climb this wall by myself so I look cool. The goal is, the wall must be scaled.
The mission is more important than your ego.
Exactly.
That totally reframes asking for help from a weakness to a tactical necessity. If you need another person's brain or muscle to do the job, you use it.
Because you are part of a larger organism. Which actually brings us to the next massive shift in the book. He moves from the mind to the universe itself.
The flux.
The flux. This is where people usually get a little uncomfortable with Marcus Aurelius. He views reality as a river of constant violent change.
Yeah, he uses the wax analogy in section F7. He says nature is like wax. It molds a horse, then melts it down to make a tree, then melts the tree to make a man. And he says dissolution is no grievous thing to the wax.
It's just remodeling.
Okay, but I'm not a lump of wax. I'm a person. Being melted down sounds terrible. Why should you or I be okay with that?
Because without it, you don't exist. He counters that fear with a very practical question in section XV. He asks, canst thou take a hot bath unless the wood changes?
Wait, explain that one.
Think about it. To heat the bath water, you have to burn the wood. The wood has to be destroyed. It has to change form to create the heat. He also asks, can you be nourished unless the food changes?
Oh, I see. Digestion is the destruction of food to create energy.
Precisely.
So if I want the hot bath and I want the dinner, I have to accept the destruction that makes it possible.
Exactly. He's arguing that you cannot cherry-pick parts of nature. You can't say, I love growth, but I hate decay. They're the exact same process. And he takes it a step further. He says we aren't just isolated lumps of wax being melted. We are deeply connected.
Do not.
Section 6. All things are linked and knitted together, and the bond is sacred. He sees the universe as one living substance, like a torrent or a stream that we all pass through.
Which sounds lovely and poetic until you have to deal with the specific parts of that substance, namely other people.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. It's really easy to love humanity in the abstract. It's very hard to love the specific human who is suing you or cutting you off in traffic.
Marcus seems to struggle with this too, honestly. He has to constantly remind himself to zoom out.
The view from above. In sections 3 and XE6, he borrows this from Plato, he imagines looking down on Earth from a great height. He sees armies, marriages, divorces, feasts, funerals, but from that distance they look like little puppets drawn up and down with wires or ants bearing burdens.
See, that always strikes me as sort of nihilistic, like you're just an ant, your divorce doesn't matter. How is that actually supposed to help you?
It's not about worthlessness, it's about integration. If you're down in the dirt fighting over a crumb, you hate the other ant. If you zoom out and see the whole colony, you realize you're working for the exact same goal. And this leads to what I think is the most sophisticated linguistic point in the entire book, the difference between melos and meros.
Melos and meros, they sound almost identical.
They do, but the distinction is everything. In Greek, meros means a part, like a spare part of a machine. You can take a screw out of a car, put it on a shelf, and it's still a screw, it's detached.
Okay, and melos?
Melos means a limb, like a human hand or a leg. A hand is not a hand if you chop it off. It's just rotting meat. It only has meaning when it is organically connected to the body.
Wow. Okay, so how does Marcus apply this?
He says in section X, if you only see yourself as a part, a meros of mankind, you don't love people from the heart yet. You strictly do your duty because it's the right thing to do. You're the employee who punches the clock and follows the rules but doesn't actually care about the company.
You're just checking the good citizen box.
Right. But if you see yourself as a melos, a limb, then helping another person is literally helping yourself. If the hand wipes dirt out of the eye, the hand isn't being altruistic. The hand understands that if the eye can't see, the hand is in trouble too.
That is a massive shift, moving from I should help you because I'm a good person to I am helping you because we are the same thing.
It completely dissolves resentment, but let's be real here. Sometimes the eye is actively trying to stab the hand.
Right. What do you do when the other limb is just toxic? Marcus has a lot to say about tolerance here.
He does. Section Alex is his go-to for this. When someone offends you, he says to immediately ask, what did this person think was good or evil?
Meaning, what was their actual motivation?
Meaning nobody wakes up and thinks, I'm going to be a villain today. They think they are right. They are operating on bad data or flawed logic. Marcus says if you understand their mistake, you'll feel pity, not anger. You realize they are just confused about how the world works.
And if that fails, if they're just coming at you relentlessly,
Then you become the wrestler.
the wrestler, section 63.
He says the art of true living is more like a wrestler's than a dancer's practice.
I feel like we all want life to be a dance. We want a choreographed, smooth music playing.
But it's not. Marcus says you have to stand ready for sudden blows. But here is the key point. The wrestler expects to be hit. When his opponent grabs him, he doesn't take it personally. He doesn't say, how dare you touch me? He just adjusts his stance.
So expect the blow, absorb it, and don't hate the guy throwing it.
Exactly. And when you do manage to act well, when you act like a good limb or a good wrestler, Marcus warns about one last trap. The receipt.
The receipt, section XE3.
The third thing. He asks, when you've done a good deed and another person has benefited, why do you look for a third thing like praise, credit, or repayment?
He goes back to nature for this one, doesn't he?
He does. Does a horse ask for a reward for running? Does a bee ask for a reward for making honey? No, they were built to do that. Marcus says when a human acts justly, they are just doing what a human was built to do. The action itself is the reward.
That is incredibly hard to swallow in a world of likes and viral charity videos. If nobody saw it, did it happen? Marcus says yes, and that's enough.
It's the ultimate antidote to vanity. And he really needs that antidote because he knows exactly where all this is heading.
We have to talk about segment 4 then, time, fame, and death. Because Marcus is absolutely brutal here. He strips away the idea of legacy completely.
He uses the sand heaps analogy in section 62. Imagine a heap of sand. Now imagine someone dumping a fresh bucket of sand right on top of it. The old sand is buried immediately.
That's fame.
That's fame. That's history. A new generation comes along and buries the memories of the old one. He explicitly mentions Alexander the Great here.
Literally the most famous man in the ancient world.
Right. And Marcus points out that Alexander the Great and his mule driver were both brought to the exact same state. They both died. They were both reabsorbed into the universe. Alexander's fame didn't save him from the sand heap.
That creates this heavy existential dread, though. If we're just going to be buried under sand and Alexander the Great is equal to a mule driver, what's the point? Why even get out of bed?
That's the danger of this line of thinking for sure. But Marcus uses it to focus entirely on the now. He calls it circumscribing the present.
Circumscribe the present. Draw a circle around right now.
Exactly. We spend so much energy suffering for the future. What if I lose my job next year? What if I get sick? Marcus says, stop. The future isn't here yet. When it comes to, you will meet it with the exact same weapon you have right now, which is your reason. You don't need to fight the future today. Just fight what is inside the circle.
It makes the unmanageable feel manageable.
And it prepares you for the final event, which is death. He uses one more agricultural metaphor in section XXV, the ripe ear of corn.
Right. Life is reaped like a ripe ear of corn. One is yet standing and another is down.
He's trying to normalize it. We view death as a tragedy, a mistake in the system. Marcus says, no, it's a harvest. It's as natural as the corn growing in the first place. You can't have the corn without the harvest.
So we've been through the ringer here. We've accepted that we're melting wax, we're temporary sand heaps, and we're limbs of a body that might actually hate us. It's a lot to take in. How does he pull this all together?
He synthesizes it into a single directive in section XXY. He says, dig within.
Dig within is the fountain of all good.
That is the core. You stop looking for happiness in the court, in the praise of the mob, or even in physical comfort. You define happiness eudaimonia literally as a good demon, a good spirit inside you.
And the happiness comes from action.
Rational action, justice, temperance, serving the common good. If you are doing that, you are successful. Even if you're in pain, even if you're completely anonymous.
I want to end on a thought that I found really provocative. It's in section XE4. It feels almost like a cosmic gamble.
The gods are atoms argument.
Right. Marcus basically says, look, there are two options. Option A, the universe has a mind. It deliberated once at the very beginning, and everything happening now is just a ripple effect of that divine plan.
In which case, if the gods care about the universe, they care about you, you're safe.
And option B, There is
Yeah.
no plan. It's just atoms banging into each other. Total chaos.
And this is where most people would say, well, if it's chaos, nothing matters. But Marcus flips it. He says, even if it is just atoms, even if there is no God watching you, you still have a mind. You still have reason. You can create your own order in a chaotic world.
So if there's a God, you're fine. If there isn't a God, you still have a job to do. Be a good person. Keep your head.
The instruction remains exactly the same regardless of the cosmology.
Which leads perfectly to his final command to himself. Live again.
See the things of the world again as thou hast already seen them. For what is it else to live again?
It's an invitation to wake up, to stop sleepwalking through the déjà vu we talked about at the start, and actually see the world with fresh eyes.
And that is a challenge I think we can all take.
Absolutely. Something for you to mull over as you go about your day. Thanks for digging in with us. We'll see you in the next deep dive.